And ladies and gentlemen, I didn't do a counter this time, so Cairo, if you are pissed, you have every right to be. I'm Teflon Leaf Miss Orion, and I'm a Schmo.
And I'm Cairo, and I'm steaming mad.
Woo! Jesus. How was your week, Cairo?
It's been a week.
Yeah.
I know we aren't getting the worst of this. I've seen some headlines of other places, but the weather is like just peak. Yeah, social global warming is a thing.
If I raise you, Mark Pier, Michigan. We don't get political bullshit.
Have you seen what the temperatures are out west?
No, what is the temperatures out west?
Arizona hit over 100 already.
That sounds like Arizona's problem. Put in a couple Great Lakes, Arizona.
Kansas, I think is what the other one I heard. They had temperatures in the teens at the start of this week, and they hit 92 on Thursday or Friday.
That sounds like Kansas's problem. Install a couple Great Lakes, Kansas.
It's just that easy.
It's literally just be born into a wealth of natural resources.
Yeah, just be born better.
Be born better. In the words of the great Elon Musk, sorry, I threw up in my mouth a little bit there. Just be born into it.
Sorry, I had to close my door there because Rin is just too much right now.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Sorry, I was trying to think of a joke, but like I'm afraid if I start making a joke of it, who's going to start busting into the room? And
Yeah.
like, well. We're my favorite podcast. What's going on?
She just wants to guess. That's got to be what it is, right?
Yeah. Well, Sam keeps telling me that we need to have the cats on the podcast, but I'm like, what are they going to talk about? Their cats?
I don't even know how it would work. It would be funny though.
Yeah.
We'll have to brainstorm on that one.
Little button that just shows their meows.
Does
Ren have a unique meow? Since I know she's deaf.
A little bit. It's very loud and like.
I'm sorry.
I don't really know how to describe it other than that. It's not quite a yowl, but it gets pretty close.
Ooh. Houdini has.
I will say it is kind of cute though, because when she does get like genuinely scared, unlike a lot of cats, she doesn't get loud in those cases. She gets really, really quiet.
Really?
So it is, yeah. So it's really annoying when she gets like this, but it is very much a sign of her trying to be playful and affectionate.
Yeah.
She's not distressed or anything like that. But it is so loud.
Houdini has this little yowl system he does whenever he wants attention at night. And like the first time I heard this, I thought there was like a little girl that somehow walked into my apartment. He sounds like a little girl when he does it. Like something like that.
Yeah, thankfully she doesn't quite do those. She does like a regular meow, just full volume every time.
That's so funny. So, nothing happened this week, which was kind of nice. We just kept losing. Go America.
It's a weird situation, isn't it? Like,
No,
apparently
it's
we're on the verge of like putting soldiers in Iran. I don't even know like what to say about it. It's so dumb.
It's really dumb. We live in
that's the part that frustrates me the most. It's so dumb.
It occurs to me this is probably like one of the few times they went off really bad course of Project 2025, and they just realized they have like no contingency plans ever.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah.
Like, what is like that? What I keep going back to is trying to think like, and it's the same thing a lot of people are doing. Is what is the point? Why are the things that are happening? And it's hard to come up with a reason because all of the like things that you can imagine that actually make sense in what we've been seeing are things that we're pretty objectively losing on.
Well, I suppose I don't. Could you give me like a little bit more?
Yeah. So like the situation with dictating international trade, right?
Yeah.
That was one of the things that was like, okay, I kind of get, I don't agree, but I can imagine some fucked up logic from the people in the Trump administration, right? Especially when they did their tariff stuff. They made shitloads of money doing that by basically rug pulling the stock market and using that insider information to make trades ahead of time. I can imagine a world where they try to do that by doing what they're doing in Iran to make U.S. gas, WTI crude, more valuable, right? Because it is. It's like up 40 bucks, something like that, over the last month. It's up 47%, $32 over the last month. And I can imagine that, but then on the other side, we've just unsanctioned Russia's oil, and we've unsanctioned Iran's oil, which completely counteracts that because those are all measures that is, for one, trying to push the price of oil down, but then two, is extremely directly just giving money to our supposed enemies in this conflict.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's the point? Is the point to reduce the price of oil or is the price to increase the price of oil to benefit a minority of people? It doesn't seem like that because that's not how they're acting. You have the regime change side of things, right?
Yeah.
They're in a spot where they could have very easily, after like day 2, been like, mission accomplished, boys. We killed Khamenei. We got the guy. We got like 5-10 people directly below him. Their chain of command is gone. We're gone. Peace. And then just left. Call mission accomplished and pretend that you did an absolute victory by doing that. But then they didn't leave. We're still bombing these people. So that hasn't worked. And then the actual result of this is that it's just one of the kids of the guy that we killed. And it's likely that they're going to be even more of a hardliner.
Yeah.
So that ends up being a loss, right? The other side of it, there was a really thought-provoking interview that I saw as part of the Some More News' podcast, where they had I don't know what their exact nationality is, if they're just American or if they're American Iranian, but they are an American who has family in Iran, who is relatively recent immigrants from Iran themselves, but still has family back there because of that. And they're talking about the perspective of the people in Iran itself, where they did, just in January, have some 30 to 40,000 protesters get killed by the Iranian government, by the Iranian military, for protesting that government. And in the wake of that, it's not universal, but there is definitely a feeling among many of the people in Iran that despise the government but feel powerless to do it, of like, okay, what do we do next? Is foreign intervention the way that we're able to make some sort of lasting change happen? But then you see the actions that they're taking, right? They bombed a fucking school with a bunch of kids in it. We let Israel bomb these massive oil fields and basically poisoned the entire city of Tehran. And the duration of it as well is very quickly making that option go away. You can't have this, it's getting to the point where if you do all of this shit and then you just leave and you don't get the job finished, you're leaving it in an objectively worse state than what you started with.
They don't care.
The alternative to that is that you put troops on the ground and you do a full-scale invasion of the entirety of Iran, which would go very poorly. We'd probably be successful eventually. I'm pretty confident in saying that we would eventually win that conflict if it came to it, but it would be at the expense of, I don't know, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of the lives of our own troops. Iran has a very large military, and they have taken steps prior to this to make sure that if this exact situation happened and their top level leadership got taken out, they had alternative structures in place to make sure that they could continue operating. So they're ready for all of this shit that we've been trying to do. And then we're going in here, with half a plan and our pants around our ankles, and we're pissing on everything really good, but we don't know what's going to happen when we run out of piss,
We just drink more water.
It's weird. It's frustrating. Isn't that kind of the wildest part of this? Is that on the one level, doing this war at all is abhorrent. But then at the same time, seeing the way that they're doing this war is also... Yeah. Okay. So the war is abhorrent, and it's being appropriately called out as being abhorrent for it happening at all. But then at the same time, we also have this feeling of these people are so grossly incompetent at doing a war. They shouldn't be doing the job that they're doing, and the job that they're doing poorly. And it's deeply frustrating as a result. So I don't know what the actual end is going to look like to this, but I don't see a way that I don't see a way that we win in a satisfying way, And I feel like that's going to be a prerequisite for this conflict ending, is that if nothing else, Trump needs to feel like he has won, right? And I don't see a way that happens.
I just realized my microphone was off during all that. I raise you. Donnie annexes Iran for statehood. Let's go.
I don't have a number a person that I can quote on it. I am pretty sure I saw somebody misspeak and pretty much exactly say that about Karg Island specifically.
Really?
Not statehood necessarily, but officially invading it, taking it over, and turning it into a territory of the United States.
I was being facetious. Come on. We can't.
Because it's so stupid, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so dumb. Like, what do you do next, right? You're just going to put people there forever to eternally have missiles shot at them? That's the plan? That's all that we have left.
It's a good plan. Keeps the complex going, the military-industrial complex.
Where is this? It's just, it's not even close to the Strait of Hormuz, too. That's the really funny thing. What is this? Is that... It's 500 kilometers.
Hell yeah.
So 200 miles.
Hell yeah.
And It is literally in the middle of the Persian Gulf with the border of Iran on two sides of it.
I see this as straight up winning. I don't know what you're talking about. You got the leftist mind virus in you. You got to think of the opportunities here.
We're winning so much.
Imagine
with our
if we gave all
$4
those people
gas.
the right to vote.
Yeah, that would go great.
Yeah.
I guess that's as good a chance as any to talk about gas prices because, woof.
Woof, indeed. I just got gas. Sorry.
Oh, yeah?
I just got gas the other day. I've been trying to avoid it. I was near empty. $50 for my little shitty... Not shitty, I love my little Nissan. My little Nissan Altima.
Mm-hmm. A really fun chart here. Let me see if I can clear this out. This is going to sound crazy, but when you actually look at where average gas prices are compared to crude barrel prices in the US, it should be higher than it is by a pretty significant amount.
Fuck you, don't say that.
What I've been noticing is that it seems like nobody wants to be the first gas station to put that 4 on their board. You know?
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to last for much longer here. You can see on the graph that I just sent you, there's like a very obvious like up and down sort of oscillation in that red line. That's the Michigan gas price. And we are on a down part right now. And it's going to go up. And I think it's going to go up pretty dramatically unless there's some major news that... And that's the other thing, right? Is like I try to think about what would that be? What would that major news event look like that would cause even a significant drop in the price of oil? Because I can't think of it. Like you can start taking tankers through the strait and give them military escorts, right? But that doesn't actually fix the problem. It is a Band-Aid, but it's not going to cause things to go down. You're still going to have these massive price problems because now you're jeopardizing the military and it's still slow. There's thousands of ships that need to get through that strait in each direction every day, and you don't have thousands of ships to effectively do that. And then what happens the first time one of those U.S. ships gets hit or even knocked out and blown up? What do you do then?
Blame it on
the other side is like, the other side is like, well, what if something happens in Iran, right? What could happen in Iran itself? And I don't think there's anything. You could have mass revolution from the protesters, but that doesn't change the fact that there's still some 500,000 people armed and relatively indoctrinated into the Iranian military. And they're not just going to throw down their arms. They're going to do what they did in January and kill tens of thousands of people.
Yeah. Wait,
what? Yeah. True. But yeah, I mean, it's like, what does that outcome look like that makes things better? And I don't see it. I have a really hard time being able to see it.
I agree with you.
Something else that I wanted to point out here, because as much as I try to avoid it, the whole financial side of this is, I have to say, morbidly fascinating to myself. Going out and like watching these numbers day to day, following like how does the market react to this news, or how does it not react to that news, is probably not good for my mental health, but it is fascinating to see how this all plays out, to see the human behavior plotted on a chart so obviously. And And I always find when I start to do this that as soon as you start to look a little bit deeper, it ends up way worse than you think at first.
Uh-oh.
Post I found. So this hasn't been, just to be clear, this is literally just a Reddit post. Doesn't link to anything, but it's based on some information that I was able to verify. Person who claims that they're in the oil and gas industry, and they wanted to share two things that were happening this week that they noticed. The first being that diesel prices spiked hard because spiked hard in the EIA, the government agency that tracks fuel prices, showing a sharp jump in the last 2 weeks. Carriers calculate fuel surcharges directly from that number. When diesel goes up, shipping charges go up automatically. With the Middle East involved, that's not going away anytime soon. So that's the first point. That's kind of obvious, that I think has been pretty well communicated in the larger news, that you need gas to drive trucks to move things like food around.
Yeah.
And when the gas goes up, the cost to drive those trucks goes up, which means your food costs go up. And we haven't really seen that effect yet because there's that lag, right? We saw this with tariffs, especially in clothing, because there's these sort of like cyclical things where things get taken out every week or every month or every quarter. The actual effects of the tariffs that were happening today weren't being seen by the consumer for months later down the line. The other thing, though, that I thought was especially fascinating, there's a recent federal rule that went into place that wiped out 13,000 truck drivers overnight from the FMCSA finalizing its ruling on non-domiciled commercial driver's licenses, effectively foreign licensed drivers operating in the United States. So you work as a truck driver in Mexico and you have a license there, unless you work in the US. They got rid of that. That took effect last Monday. They quote some figures here for load to truck ratios. These are from the south central region of the United States right now. Typically, so looking back in 2024, the average over the entire year of 2024 was there were 2.74 loads, trailers effectively, waiting for each truck available to take that trailer, right?
Yeah.
In 2023, that number was 3.6. The peak recently was in 2021 during COVID, where we hit 7.8. Today, we are already at 8.1.
Already? Whoa.
We are already there, and it is still going up. So there are damn near a dozen truckloads, literally, of goods just sitting, waiting to be picked up by somebody. And that means that the shipping companies get to charge more to move those truckloads.
What a fascinating time to be a truck driver.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the kind of thing, too. I feel like we're seeing these kinds of things in all sorts of industries. All these weird little knock-on effects that once you start to look into them, is just like, wait, really? That much? Wild. Apparently the hardest hit part of this is in Texas and the states surrounding it right now. And they call it the South Central region, where per their numbers was at 16.5.
What?
16.5 trailer loads of goods just sitting there, not being picked up because they don't have the truck drivers to do it. On top of everything else that is happening.
Gee, I wonder where Texas is near. Gee, I wonder who was previously doing those loads.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing where there's all of these things going on, and then you see the policy actions that are going in place. And it's, what the fuck are we doing? What is the goal here?
It's simple. It's to make a fucking problem out of people who are never the fucking problem. Because, like,
you know what yeah, go for it.
No, this is something we've talked about in the past. Like, whenever you bring up the idea of Mexican workers in the U.S., right?
Yep.
Like, I get it. I can see your logic, right? About non-nationalized citizens taking American jobs, whatever, right? Everybody has to start somewhere. But the people who are hiring those workers are the real fucking problem. Because let's face it, they wouldn't hire anybody, from the U.S. in the first place because the fucking rates U.S. workers could charge.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Your problem's not the Mexicans, it's the fucking capitalists.
Yep.
It's not like all capitalists are the problem, but it's like you know who you should be targeting. You're making another problem entirely.
Yeah. And the thing that I find really funny through all of this is that there was like a singular thread that I was following through last year that made really messed up sense, but some kind of sense, with the idea being that in order to justify all of the awful shit that's been going on in this current administration over the last year, their plan that they would never say out loud because it's very obviously awful was to significantly devalue the US dollar to prevent inflation. Basically have the US dollar deflation rate match the inflation rate of the goods themselves, so that when you see a thing costs $5 instead of $4, you can't tell that that's because the thing costs more now, or if it's because your dollar is worth less, and as a result you need more dollars to buy things.
How does any of that make sense?
It when you look at national politics, it doesn't. Because people just see dollar go up, thing that bad for me because my pay no go up, right?
Yeah.
When you look at international markets, there is a really bad argument that has been made where in an international scale, if the dollar is worth less, that means it's basically like going on a fire sale for other countries. And the idea would be that because of that, that would cause those countries to then sort of inversely invest in that cheap dollar. The problems with that being, of course, that if your domestic issues are being exacerbated to the degree that they obviously would be by that, you haven't really fixed anything. You're just shifting your problems around. And the other part of it is that the kinds of international policies that they're having to take in order to cause that deflation, like tariffs, are already basically isolating us on the international stage. And people don't want our dollar regardless because of that. We had reporting this week of the preparation work that Denmark was doing with Greenland in the event that the U.S. actually tried to invade them. They apparently shipped massive amounts of first aid supplies to Greenland in case they had to physically fight off attackers. They had plans in place to blow up their fucking airports to stop U.S. planes from landing in their country if it came to it. These are serious things that fucking Denmark is considering because of us. It's insane.
No, insanity is logic. It's really
but
fucking... Yeah.
The other side of this that makes me go like, again, what are you fucking doing? Is that because of the situation in Iran and because that oil impacts China and European nations, Japan, Korea, basically everybody that is not in the Americas, so much more than it affects us, that it hasn't quite done it, but it is largely reversed all of that dollar devaluation that happened over the last year. So if that was their plan to fix the economy, that also hasn't worked. So either that wasn't their plan and they're doing something even stupider, or that was their plan and they're really bad at it still.
Gotta pause again, it's doing that glitch. So what you're really saying is we are being led down by the worst economists possible, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. How? I don't know. Because, like, I'm not going to pretend like I'm an expert in the subject, because, frankly, I'm not. But, like, how do you even come back from this?
I don't know. I have been thinking about that too, right? Because like, what do we do? What do we do? And I think there's some frameworks that we can use. When you look at much smaller scales, of course, but you look at organizations that had systemic problems, both in bad practices and in bad moral guidance. And those organizations were able to, make recompense for the wrongs that they did. I feel like it gives you hope that there is a path somewhere. The one that I always think of is like the Boy Scouts of America, right? Which is now just Scouting of America. Awful things that happen there. Child abuse, homophobia, bigotry, racism, on and on and on. Deep systemic problems within that organization at a very national level. But by accounts, they have acknowledged that those problems were real, taken steps to fix them, and made the organization, not perfect by any means, but a hell of a lot better than what it has historically shown itself to be. So I do think that there is an eventual way that this works, but it requires, at the very least, right, acknowledgement of all of the things that we've done, and then time to prove that we're actually changing, Because if we put in place, a Democrat supermajority and we elect a Democrat president and we have 4 great years of prosperity, for us that might be good. But for our foreign former allies, they're not going to trust that we've actually changed anything until it comes around to 4 years after that to see what happens. Because if we just elect J.D. Vance in 2032, then it's shown that we are a fundamentally untrustworthy ally for international trade and diplomacy.
Yeah.
I do think, though, that one of the best ways to get into a lot of people's good graces is to be very economically successful, to be so successful that they can't really ignore us. And I think that the way to do that is through, these extremely progressive policies that put a lot of money in the hands of people in lower and middle classes. Increased wages, reduced hours, subsidies for, housing and food and all those sorts of things that we have a very deep history of evidence to look back on and see that they work.
But where are we going to get the money if we're not getting it from the people?
You're not going to believe this, but it's going to come from the rich people. Or because this is the other thing that is like so, it's obvious. And you can point it out, and the people who try to legitimately argue against these kinds of things just pretend it doesn't exist. What do you think happens when somebody is going from making $10 an hour to $20 an hour? Do you think their taxes stay the same? No, of course they fucking don't. You're getting more tax money from these people that used to be in the lower classes. You're taking people who are lower class and moving them into a legitimate middle class, and they're paying more taxes because of that. And that's where you get your money to do these things. You keep the money in your economy rather than kicking it out to some billionaire's pocketbook in the Bahamas. And it circulates again and again and again in our economy. It's the classic example of, the farmer who pays the baker, who pays the banker, who pays the farmer again. You have that dollar go around and around within our own economy rather than having it get kicked out to somebody's bank account and sitting there forever.
I've got bad news for you, Kyril. We can't tax billionaires. There's only 900 to 990 of those in the country, according to Forbes.
Yeah, but you don't have to just tax billionaires. That's the dirty thing that I'm waiting for somebody to say. To be the fucking adult in the room and just say everybody needs to be taxed more.
Yeah.
Especially the billionaires, but everybody. Me personally, my tax rate is like what, 37%? Let me double check this. Tax brackets 2026 22. It's at fucking 22%. It should be higher than that. I should be paying more taxes than this shit. Because what the fuck?
Let me check what my taxes are. Am I a fucking traitor? Let me see. Holy shit! Why the fuck is it so low?
Right. It's because we have these people who don't want the government to function so that they can point at the broken government and in turn use that to argue for even lower taxes for themselves. Because
it really is self-fulfilling.
They are deeply greedy.
You're telling me you can't just afford your own fucking postal service?
Oh, I hate that so much. That's one of the things that really gets me fired up, is seeing people talk about how the postal service is unprofitable. No shit. It's a service. You don't bitch about the fire department being unprofitable.
You're telling me you can't just afford your own fucking militia? Where's the profitability in policing? Now, there is an actual answer to that. Please don't say it, or else I will cry.
Yeah. No, there shouldn't be.
Yeah.
There should not be profitability in government services. These do not exist to make revenue. They exist to provide a service for everyone. And the post office is in the fucking Constitution.
It really is. You know what my big take is?
What's that?
We have fucking Medicare and Medicaid. I would really like it if the government did like casualty and property insurance as well.
Yeah. You know what the crazy thing is?
What?
They do. They do.
Yeah, there's FEMA. Like, don't get me wrong. I just
No.
What?
They do flood.
Yeah, that's FEMA, under FEMA.
Yeah, under FEMA, but specifically, they basically do all flood insurance.
Yeah, every fucking flood. Okay, fun fact: working in the insurance industry.
Yep.
You can get insurance through like a private provider, but the real truth is that private provider is a middleman that's working with the government to provide you your coverages.
Exactly.
No other entity in this country will do flood insurance but the government.
That's the thing that I find so frustrating. We have basically universal flood insurance. We have basically universal health care for kidney dialysis. Yeah. We have the frameworks of programs that have been operating for longer than we've been alive. But nobody has had the guts or the foresight or the ambition to actually go up on, a podium and be like, we want to take this program and apply it to everything. Mm-hmm. And it would, of course, be more detailed, would require a lot more detail than that. But that's the broad strokes thing. That's what we need to happen, is to have somebody be like, okay, how do we do that? And then look into it and then present that plan.
I think it's really fucking crazy that we have all these arguments, right, about like what the government can and should not do. And like when it comes to domestic stuff, it's always get the government out of here. But when it comes to like foreign intervention or just like going into any place to like bomb a few schools or something like that, there's always some argument on why it was necessary.
Mm-hmm. We can always make up a new reason to bomb more people.
We can.
Have you seen the before we go off of this fully, because I think we're about wrapped up here, ready to move on to some other stuff, but I wanted to bring up Lindsey Graham showing up to be the real piece of shit of the hour these last few weeks. Did you see his comment from one of the morning news shows about Karg Island?
No, you're going to have to tell me.
To quote Senator Lindsey Graham, "We did Iwo Jima. We can do this."
What the fuck?
What a piece of shit.
Fuck. Okay, that was actually something.
Here's a Google search real quick. How many Americans died on Iwo Jima? Do you want to take a guess?
I'm thinking, because like I'm just looking like at the little statistics of how long Iwo Jima lasted.
Yep, barely a month, barely over a month.
Yeah, 36 days.
Yep.
If I had to guess,
and to be clear as well, Iwo Jima is tiny.
Yeah, it wasn't worth it. People love Iwo Jima only because of that fucking raw ass photo.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say if it was not worth it because it is, there's military utility there, but in hindsight, it was very obviously not worth the amount of bodies that we threw at it. So to give you a high number here, right? To give you a fair chance, yeah. We had approximately 70,000 U.S. troops total involved in the battle.
Alex, I'm gonna put in about half of those troops.
So it wasn't quite.
Thank
we
God.
had about a tenth died. 7,000 are estimated to have been killed or went missing in action on Iwo Jima during that battle. Another 19,000 were wounded, though. 19,000. So 26,000 casualties. And we're going to do that again. Not our fucking senator, but, one of the senators of our government is just, we're going to do it again. And I've seen it pointed out by a lot of people, of course, but we did Iwo Jima. You didn't do shit, Lindsay. No. What is this we? You didn't do shit then because you were like a fucking toddler. You're not doing shit now other than just going on the news shows. Like, tell you what, if you want to be the first one in line to go hoist the flag on Karg Island, I might give you a half a second more consideration. But the fact that he obviously is not doing that, just such a piece of shit.
I'm very grateful that, in our lifetime, it's very unlikely for you and I to see combat like that. I'm very grateful that a lot of people in this country have option for lifestyles like that, and I do think there's a civic duty to call out pieces of shit like Lindsey Graham who are trying to speed bodies into these godless situations.
Yeah. With all that being said, I do think that there's some reasons to be maybe optimistic is a strong word, but the people working within the government are not ignorant to how shitty the work that they are being asked to do is. We had a poll go out from website that tracks what are the quote unquote best places to work in the federal government, and they get their data by giving questionnaires to current and former government employees and then aggregating the results dependent on the department that they work for. The results of this that they released today are pretty damn staggering. So, one of the ones that I found fascinating, this is percent of respondents that agree their organization's political leaders, quote, maintain high standards of integrity. Do you have, oh, wow, that's a hell of a one. I don't know if that's a no respondents thing, but I hadn't seen that one until now. Do you want to take a guess at what some of the numbers are for these agencies?
I'm going with 12%, Alex. What is 12%?
What is 12%? That is the Department of Labor.
Yeah! I'm doing a little dance.
Would you give me another number?
What is 18%, Alex.
18%? That would be the Securities and Exchange Commission. The highest percentage comes from the Office of the Secretary of War, Joint Staff, Defense Agencies. That is only at 19.5%.
Of course it's the fucking DOW.
Of course it is. EPA, 4.2. HHS, 4.2. National Archives and Records Administration, 1.8%. Social Security Administration, 6. And the real zinger at the end of this, the real punchline, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, 0. They could not find a single person in the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau that said their political leaders are maintaining high standards of integrity. And that fucking says something.
I'm sorry, I'm just kind of flabbergasted.
Yeah. A couple other statistics here. Because there's one of these that really was like, holy shit, we're fucked. So my organization's career, not political, career leaders are generating high levels of motivation in the workforce, 37%. How confident are you that you can report a suspected violation of a law, rule, or regulation without experiencing retaliation? In the Air Force, 26%. A quarter of airmen think that they could report a law being violated and not be retaliated against. A quarter. Again, in the Air Force, my organization does not tolerate arbitrary action, favoritism, or political coercion against employees. 44%. Not even half. The real one, I think I shared this one with you, the HHS results. So as a reminder, their political leaders are maintaining a high level of integrity. It was 4.2%. Percent who have trust in their political leadership, 2.8. Numbers who are confident they can report a suspected violation of the law without retaliation, 8.7. And the one that I was really staggered by, in my organization, employees are protected from health and safety hazards on the job. What do you think that number is? What number do you think that is at your work?
My job, what I do?
At your job. Everybody across your entire organization, not just you, the whole organization. What do you think that number would be? Because I have kind of a ballpark number in my head for where I work in pharma.
Because
but it's, it's pretty high, right? The risks are different, but they're still there.
Yeah. I would say at least over 60%. Somewhere around 60 to 70%.
You're less generous than I am. I was actually going to say for my work, and maybe I work I work with the people who do a lot of our safety internal regulation stuff. So maybe that gives me a little more confidence. I was going to say closer to 85 to 90% where I work.
The only reason
I say the people,
what I say is because I'm in claims, so there's on-field site stuff that we have to do as well, and
that's fair.
Well, there's litigation shit, and it's a whole can of worms.
So that number for HHS, 47%. Less than half.
Fucking S.
The Health and Human Services, less than half of their employees, as reported on this, believe that they are protected from health and safety hazards on the job. And another really good point in this survey was conducted in November and December, before Metro Surge really hit its peak in Minneapolis, before we fucking invaded Iran and bombed them, before gas was at $4 a fucking gallon.
I think there needs to be an impeachment system in like separate departments, employee forces for surveys like this?
I don't know. I don't know how that would work, I guess would be the better way to put it, the more full thought. Something needs to happen for sure, but I don't know. And it really does show this morale problem within our federal government. I've been seeing reporting coming out of the attorneys for the United States of America news sphere kind of thing in general, talking about how unqualified nearly everybody inside the DOJ is now, where they have lost basically all of their career prosecutors. And it's just like a slow march to the inevitable end where the ones that are left are just slowly leaving as they get forced to do these very obvious illegal actions. And they're being replaced by, sycophants who do bad jobs, who have been out of college for maybe a month, who've never actually tried a case, and now they're working for the government.
Really, they're just a whole bunch of young upstarts that are, doing their best to make a name for themselves.
Do you remember back in January, there was a Minneapolis federal prosecutor who was against her own health and well-being, apparently, went on the record when being questioned by a judge and talked about how overworked she was and how little time she has to do anything, as a way to try and present a justification for why the work she was doing was so bad and was wasting so much of the court's time. Do you want to take a guess where she next came up in the news?
Not in a hospital, right?
Nope. No. Physical health is fine.
What?
She was running as a Democrat in Minneapolis.
Huh?
Yep. So I have a very low opinion of anybody continuing to work in those kinds of positions in the federal government.
It is kind of interesting, right?
It's a shame, yeah.
The unanimous popularity of this current administration, the longer it goes on, the more I do feel like there's what's the word I'm looking for? An opposite yet equal reaction against the complacency of the other side of the argument.
Mm-hmm.
And I do wonder if it is kind of a signifier of an erosion to the two parties as they currently are.
I think so.
Yeah.
I would say so. It's really telling when you see the generic ballot type things going out, especially as we have the midterms coming up, with how badly the current administration is doing, where the generic Democrat option is doing better than the Republicans, of course, but not by much.
Not by much.
Not by the numbers that they should be doing. There's a really good post that I saw pointed out, and I guess this is a good time to lead into the other one that I wanted to mention just briefly, how it's mostly a meme, but it's an accurate meme, saying, Democratic consultants, to replicate Mamdani's success with the young people, we must appeal to their short attention spans with memes and TikTok. Mamdani, actual quote, in the 5th century in what we now know as Ireland, a British war norm named Coroticus had laid waste to the countryside. And it's just such a great encapsulation of how much trend chasing there is.
I was about to say, it feels more that there's kind of a punch down going on, whereas an appeal to the lowest common denominator. I think I don't know.
I don't even know if it's that. I think that they're just too scared at a leadership level to lead policy. They're so scared about what if our convictions are wrong that they instead decide to have no convictions.
That's a big question.
Yeah. There was a really good poll kind of thing, questionnaire that the results came out for a couple of weeks ago. I think we mentioned it on the show, but talking about how when people describe the various parties, overwhelmingly, the Democratic Party is described as weak. Not necessarily wrong or bad or immoral or anything like that, but weak. And the number one thing for the Democrat on this generic poll that was going out, the number one thing that made them get more voter share was not appearing weak. Policy did not matter at all compared to having convictions and showing what those are.
You know, I like the guy, don't get me wrong, and I know he gets bullied a lot. It was kind of my major hesitation with Tim Walz, with like the JD debate. JD, fuck him, right? But at least he was he had that Harvard white boy swag confidence, mediocre white man confidence. Tim, you know, Tim was fine. He wasn't strong though. He wasn't like what people project as like what a politician should be. There's a vulnerability to him.
He deserves no credit for it, but it is worth acknowledging that JD Vance did really well in that debate.
Well, yeah,
and he largely did it by lying out of his ass the whole time, right?
If you bothered to actually listen to JD, he was shit.
Oh yeah, he was terrible. He just, especially in the hindsight, you know, being 2 years out from it almost now, he literally just lied the whole time. He didn't have any convictions, genuinely, but he pretended that he did. He pretended to care about things and to have plans for things, to have strong opinions, and it forced Walz to, on multiple times, be like, yeah, I agree with you on that.
Well, that's the problem with like their whole
and it completely
strategy.
undercut it. Yeah.
They present themselves as, what's the word I'm looking for? And this is both sides of the argument kind of thing, but like there is this very stupid thing that pisses me off in politics where people will say the most basic ass shit and it really means nothing, but you want to just agree with it because it is just a factual statement. Puppies are cute.
Yeah. Right. That's the entire point of the pro-life kind of branding, right? Or what are you, anti-life if you disagree with me? That's the entire point of it, is to make these platitudes that are so vapid and superficial that to go against them just tease up a slam dunk against you.
You're telling me JD eyeliner Vance was being superficial that whole debate?
Right?
Guyliner Vance? You ever like look at JD Vance and like think he looks like a Republican Mike? You stole my joke, you fucker. It looks like a Republican My Chemical Romance fan.
Oh, yeah. I suppose I can see that.
Like, he looks like, what's what I'm looking for? He looks like his parents don't know he listens to like My Chemical Romance MP3 rips while on their way to church.
Yeah.
Yeah. JD, if you would like to disprove this, please come onto the podcast. We will ignore your email.
Yep. No, we won't ignore your email. We will laugh in your face when you try to say anything.
You will be muted, and you won't know.
Yes.
That would be hilarious. Having JD Vance on the podcast, and like every time he starts talking, just mute and just let there be dead air.
I have been very tempted to find some disparaged right-wing figures to just absolutely completely make fun of them the whole time. Be like, hey, come on our podcast. We want to talk to you about whatever heinous thing you believe. And then when they get on, just completely railroad them. Because I do think it would be funny.
If we ever got like somebody on this podcast like we don't agree with and whatnot, my whole strategy would be like, fuck the politics, because we already kind of just disagree on that. But we just find something that they have like an absolute shit tier take on, and then we just pick on them for that.
That could be funny too.
That would be hilarious. Like, getting JDA Vance on the podcast, instead of just muting him, we got him to admit he likes fucking Sword Art Online or some shit like that. And then we just point and laugh at him. Hey JD, what's your favorite Pokemon? What's your favorite? You fucking love Pansear? Who the fuck likes Pansear, you fucker?
I did want to mention, Mamdani posted an exceptionally good St. Patrick's Day message, of all things. I didn't think that was a word that I was going to ever say in my life, an exceptionally good St. Patrick's Day message, but he did. It's kind of remarkable. Yeah, it's the same thing as like we were talking about the current administration and how bad they are at everything. And you see these things going on. It's like, how are you still this bad, even in all of this context? And I think Mamdani really does that for the Democrats, where you see him do anything, and it is effortless and measured and kind of perfect. And you can't help but just like look over at Schumer and be like, why can't you do that?
Mamdani is a person. Schumer is a fucking puppet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very true.
And Schumer, if you would like to come onto the podcast and defend yourself, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. You want the time of day? Too bad.
Chuck the cuck Schumer.
Last sort of bummer story that I want to talk about that I think is important to just have as like a PSA almost, is that we got word today that ICE agents are going to start being deployed at airports starting on Monday.
That's so fucking weird.
Crucially, they aren't doing TSA activities.
Yeah.
I quote from Tom fucking Homan, the bastard that he is: ICE officers will not assist with airport security with security operations. Excuse me. So ICE is going to be at the airport to just harass people more and waste even more time?
As if the airport didn't already suck.
Yeah.
You know they're going to pick a fight with the wrong person there, right? They're going to cause an international incident.
It's funny, isn't it, right? Because we're talking about like the consequences for the people who need to see the consequences of this kind of stuff. The person going to fucking Florida on their spring break trip is not the kind of person who's used to being harassed by federal agents. And they're going to have to deal with that shit pretty quickly.
Imagine the Karen outbreaks we're going to get. The footage will be excellent. I want to speak to your manager. Actually, I want to speak to your manager's manager. You mean the president?
Some interesting news this week. Wrapping this up here. Federal judge has blocked RFK Jr.'s childhood vaccination cuts, saying that in appointing the new vaccine advisory committee, Kennedy likely broke the law.
What else is new? Water's wet.
Yeah. What is kind of new is that even with this ruling, we're seeing some pretty scary statistics coming out of hospitals for newborn, not vaccination rates, but like supplement rates.
Huh?
So, where did the number go here? Recent study in the Journal of American Medical Association, this is reporting by AP News, recent study in the Journal of American Medical Association analyzing more than 5 million births nationwide found that refusal of vitamin K shots nearly doubled between 2017 and 2024 from 2.9% to 5.2%.
Well, yeah, clearly vitamin K means vitamin kill. You want to put vitamin kill in a baby, you sick fuck? One second. I need to look at this. Natural sources of vitamin K. A baby ain't eating this shit. Why are people against supplements?
Because they're idiots. So vitamin K for newborns helps them so that their blood clots properly while they're growing, so that they don't bleed to death if they get hurt. One of the other ones that is also having some alarming stuff with it are parents refusing eye ointment to prevent potential infections that can cause blindness in their children. That's on top of course, parents refusing very routine vaccinations.
I'm about to scream a little bit. Do you mind if I just take something, just kind of go? No, I'm too apathetic at this point. Never mind.
But yeah, it's very scary and it's bad. But thankfully, I mean, this is another thing that is just going to take so long to fix, and I don't know if it's possible to really fix it as long as half of the political parties in the U.S. are so adamantly anti-science.
You're telling me these pro-life fuckers are suddenly just pro-choice once the baby's out for the supplements and the fucking actual medicine?
Always have been. Last piece of news. Elon Musk had a very bad Friday.
Elon Musk has a bad... Sorry.
Jury found that Elon Musk defrauded Twitter Inc. investors when he disparaged the company in 2022 while he was in an effort to buy the social media platform for a lower price than his original $44 billion bid.
Yeah.
Penalties remain to be seen.
I think it was pretty obvious that's what he was doing.
It was extremely obvious, and people called it out at the time.
Yeah.
I really distinctly remember in that, I think it was in like November, was sort of the worst of it, where people were like, he's trying to buy this company and he keeps talking shit about it. This is like super illegal. And then nothing happened for 3 years. So we'll see what it ends up being. It'll probably be hundreds of millions at least, maybe a few $1 billion, which for him isn't actually that much, but it should be, it's not an insignificant fine, right? That's like the equivalent of you or I getting like a $500 fine, It's like, okay, I can probably get the money together for that without too much problem, but I'm not happy about it.
That's his Tesla stock.
Right, but he has to sell the Tesla stock in order to do that.
Yeah, I mean...
And that's how these people always... That's how they sustain their lifestyles, is that they never actually sell their stock. They get loans against the stock.
Is that really how they do it?
Yeah, that's how they avoid paying taxes on a lot of this, is that rather than taking the tax and selling it and having to declare it as income, they loan the stock to the banks who hold the stock and trade it, short it, whatever, and then later swap back, and that gives these rich people, hundreds of millions of dollars to live off of in actual money.
Sorry, I get the basic logic of it, but it's so weird and inconvenient. So, say I have 5 shares of Tesla stock, right?
Yep.
You're my bank. I give it to you. You give me money for my Tesla stock while you're using it to gain interest, or like just money.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
I don't think a CEO should be doing that with their own fucking stock.
No, they shouldn't. It's a pretty major loophole. One thing though that does give me a little bit of optimism for the future is that there's two bills that have been proposed through the House recently that have had far from bipartisan support, but much broader support than I expected when I first heard about them. One that specifically looks to stop congressional stock trading, to cut that out basically completely in an official codified way. Which is obviously a major problem because there's a lot of the ways that the law is written that is because it currently benefits the people in Congress and allows them to make obscene amounts of money off of what is effectively insider trading. And the other one, which seems like it should have taken a shitload less time to get to where it is an official bill basically outlawing overturning the Citizens United Supreme Court ruling to get, money, corporate money out of political committees. So either of those seeing success, and they probably won't in this round, to be clear. I'm not that optimistic, but support for them is clearly growing, and when that happens, those will both have, should at least have, very, very long-lasting implications in shoring up the strength of our government to make sure that it can't be so easily swayed by moneyed interests.
But then, what's the point in being in the government?
It's crazy, but you might actually have people who want to be in the government to make the lives of the people who they live with better.
But those people aren't me.
Yep. That's true.
I don't understand So, what do I get out of helping others?
So that's the thing, right? Is that I know you're playing up the bit here, but there is actual real things,
Yeah.
What if you didn't have to ever see a homeless person again? Because they all had jobs and healthcare.
Oh, man. I was just going to say, genocide camps, but darn.
But it is very real things like that.
Yeah.
What if we cut the homeless rate to a third of what it is today, which would still be awful. But can you imagine how massive that would be? And all it would take would be policy changes. Money going to different places than it is now.
It always pisses me off, right? When we have a homeless problem in America, and we also complain that nobody wants to take jobs, and there's just these systemic forces that prevent a lot of these people from re-entering the workplace, or just societal failures that see them as undesirable to these employers, when these employers really shouldn't be barking for shit.
Yeah. Very true. Wow. Oh, actually, no, not movies yet. I had one more thing. I forgot about this. Another PSA of sorts. Google has started using AI to change the titles of the news articles that appear in their searches. This is reported by The Verge this week. Google search is now using AI to replace headlines.
And what purpose does it serve?
It's a good question. I don't know. Let's see if I can find it. Probably to increase click-through, something like that.
Oh, yeah.
But the other part of this is that as a result, if I can get this pulled up here. I was trying to find some of these examples because The Verge had multiple of their own articles changed in this way. So one of them was, I used the cheat on everything AI tool and it didn't help me cheat on anything, was changed by Google to just cheat on everything AI tool.
I see their game now. That's super.
One of the other ones, oh, I'm getting, come on, Verge, don't do this. They keep giving me pop-up stuff, so I'm not going to be able to actually find the other examples, which is a damn shame. Oh, I might have found it. No. Nope, I'm not going to be able to get the site to work. Well, that's a shame. They had a bunch of different examples. They do good stuff. I get why they want to get paid for the work that they do. I understand it. Lets them do stuff like this, right, to report this kinds of things. But they had a bunch of examples of ways that their headlines had been radically changed by whatever this crap that Google is trying to do. Particularly, one was related to a ban that the U.S. has on drone parts and drone sales to certain places, and their headline about that was just changed to U.S. reverses drone ban or something like that, which is just completely wrong.
How's that
literally the opposite? It should be, right? You would think you're effectively at that point changing someone's words, changing someone's speech.
I feel like that opens you up for a libel suit. Because, like you said, what if this AI, like this cheating AI article where it's critical now becomes supportive? This that can vice versa pretty easily. So, like, this thing I say can be read in a negative connotation, and next thing you know, that opens up a lot of like legality slander suits for misrepresentation.
Yep. Absolutely.
And then who does that? I'm sorry. This is where my fucking mind lives half the time. Like legal bullshit. And, like, who does that create the liability for? The fucking publication? Which you could then in turn sue Google, or can they just go right for Google's throat?
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know either.
This is the kind of thing that is very much at the kind of cutting edge of a lot of this case law things. And I don't think we would know until it gets litigated. And it's the kind of thing as well where, because so much of our law is old and doesn't account for the internet, that it could be legal. And this is just okay. Even though it's obviously not intended for the law might not prevent this. The example that I immediately think of is that if you're the New York Times,
yeah,
right, and AP publishes a story about something, and you take that AP story and publish about that story, but you change your headline to be something completely different, are you misrepresenting what the AP reported? Or are you actually just exerting your own First Amendment speech, editorial rights in saying something different, even if what you're saying is objectively wrong?
I guess that does bring up the question, is Google an editorial voice?
Right, exactly. They present news. Google News is a thing, right?
Yeah. I don't think
The Verge did point out that was where this first started, was in Google's news tabs and their Discover feed specifically, was where they first started experimenting with these AI headline change things. Personally, I would not consider them that, but I don't know if the law makes a large enough distinction for that to matter.
No, I don't think it should. Because, like,
yeah,
what they're basically doing is misrepresenting a company that they have no affiliation with, other than, aggregating their content.
Yep. I guess another way to do it would be that if you're Google, you can say, well, we take information from millions of websites and we have to condense them down into a few key things to highlight in order to inform our people about what they're going to be clicking on. So through that, they have a degree of editorial intent. And whether or not they are accurate, I don't think would be the actual focus. It would be whether that intention is legitimate. And I think it would be really hard to prove otherwise. You basically have to have them, and this is not at all past the realm of possibility, given the kind of stupidity we've seen put into text before. But I think you'd have to have, like Google engineers being like, hey, what if we lie about headlines to get people to click on them more?
Yeah.
You'd have to have like that amount of, we are knowingly, that's the word, we are knowingly changing what this says to something that it is not for our own benefit.
One day,
and I don't think you're going to get that.
And you won't be able to tell, like, who even wrote it.
Yeah. I will say, on the nobody's writing articles thing anymore, we did have a couple of pretty high-profile cases of companies that tried to switch to AI-first authorial systems for their websites, for their news sites, get absolutely shit-canned these last couple of weeks. Turns out, if you can't be bothered to pay someone to write it, someone else probably won't be bothered to actually read it. Well, with that,
yeah.
Would you like to talk about some movies?
I like movies.
We got a nice little bundle to go through today. Plus some that we went and saw on our own.
We did.
Turns out we do watch movies, but we'll get to that later. I'm going to run through some of these a bit rapid fire because there's quite a few mid to small size movies that had theatrical releases that previously had like film festival releases. So okay. I'm going to rip through these. Two Prosecutors, 96% from critics, 48 reviews in. This is a Russian history drama from Ukrainian director Sergei Lotnitsa. Scalpel precise tale of the horrors of totalitarian bureaucracy, adapting a novel by Soviet writer and political prisoner Georgy Demidov, set in the Soviet Union in 1937. Follows the attempts of an idealistic government-appointed prosecutor to expose the mistreatment of a dissident Bolshevik writer who had been jailed and tortured without evidence of wrongdoing. As he gradually comes to realize the lack of cause for the man's imprisonment is hardly unique under Stalin's regime, and the neophyte lawyer may be putting himself in danger by exposing his own moral righteousness. Loznitsa constructs his story with a patient yet unmistakable sense of mounting dread, focusing on the devastating minutia that allows fascism to function in our world.
So I'm hearing it's a candid family comedy.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty overwhelmingly positive reviews for this one.
Good shit.
I'm actually curious if I can do this real quick. If I can find like where to watch this. Like, can you? Limited theatrical release, expected to be on video on demand later, but no. So you gotta catch it in theaters and you don't catch it at all. Next up, Late Shift. Also 96% from critics, 89% from audiences. Dedicated nurse Floria navigates the relentless pace of her hospital's understaffed surgical ward with humanity and warmth. As her overnight shift intensifies, she is pushed to the brink in Race Against Time, a German language drama. We have Mr. Burton. It tells the true story of the relationship between Port Talbot schoolmaster Philip Burton and a wild young schoolboy called Richard Jenkins, the son of a wayward drunk. Richard dreamed of becoming an actor, but his ambitions were in danger of being derailed by a combination of family trouble, pressure and war, and his own lack of discipline. Mr. Burton recognizes the raw talent in his pupil, becomes his tutor, strict taskmaster, and eventually adoptive father. English language, produced in by the BBC. Notably has, I think it's fair to call him this, character actor Toby Jones as one of the leads in it. What one do I know him from? He plays a lot of German villain type guys. I'm pretty sure he was in the Marvel movies as the German Nazi that puts himself in a computer.
Fuck, what was that one? I know his name, like actual character name.
Arnim Zola.
There we go.
He plays Zola in the Marvel movies, where he's a German Nazi guy in the first Captain America movie, and then he comes back in the second one in computer form because he digitized himself. Very distinctive face.
He does have a very distinctive face. And dare I say, quite punchable.
Great for those roles as Nazis.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Toe. Based on a true story, Toe follows Amanda Ogle, a woman living in her aging Toyota Camry on the streets of Seattle. When her car, her only lifeline, is stolen and impounded, Amanda is thrust into a relentless legal battle against an indifferent system. What begins as a fight to reclaim her car evolves into a deeply human story of resilience, dignity, and the power of one woman's voice in the face of systemic failure. Currently at 81%, 52 reviews.
That's cool.
This is another one of the actually technically released in 2025, but is just now getting its theatrical release ones. Next up, did you know there's an animated movie that came out this weekend?
No, I did not.
I'm going to actually do a quick check on this. I had never heard of this, but apparently, okay, it is based on a book. That makes sense. Based on a children's book called The Pout Pout Fish.
That's some One Piece ass naming right there.
The Pout Pout Fish is the hilarious and heartwarming story of an unlikely duo, Mr. Fish, a pouty introvert, and Pip, an energetic sea dragon, who embark on a daunting quest to find a legendary fish to grant their wish to save their homes.
Okay, now talk to me like I'm
The only notable things in this one is that it's named the Pout Pout Fish, and it has Nick Offerman as the lead.
Nick Offerman in the role of a lifetime, the Pout Pout Fish.
I do adore the sort of like forced range of work that he has taken on. Like
Nick Offerman, if you would like to come onto the podcast.
It's great. Next up, Ready or Not 2, Here I Come.
No way that's what it's fucking called.
That is what it is called. Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. Moments after surviving an all-out attack from the Ladomus family, Grace discovers she's reached the next level of the nightmarish game. And this time, with her estranged sister Faith at her side, Grace has one chance to survive, keep her sister alive, and claim the high seat of the council that controls the world. 4 rival families are hunting her for the throne, and whoever wins rules it all. It's obviously a sequel to the first Ready or Not. 76% from critics, 89% from audiences. I watched 2 reviews for this one that were broadly positive.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. The big one, the one that's been getting all of the attention this week. Of course, Ryan Gosling's Project Hail Mary. I say Ryan Gosling's. There's actually two directors on this: Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. Both extremely
Spider-Verse.
storied. I think it's safe to say, like Spider-Verse, Mitchell and the Machines, the Lego Movie. They both worked on most of these together. I think almost entirely.
Yeah.
They've had a couple of things outside of that they worked on. That's fucking hilarious. I was gonna mention this because I didn't realize Nick Offerman was in 21 Jump Street. Both of these guys also worked on 21 Jump Street.
Yes, they did.
That's hilarious. I should have brought that up, but I didn't
They're
realize
like
the
the Russo
connection.
brothers. They just keep using the same people.
Yeah. So Project Hail Mary. Science teacher Ryland Grace wakes up on a spaceship light years from home with no recollection of who he is or how he got there. As his memory returns, he begins to uncover his mission, solve the riddle of the mysterious substance causing the sun to die out. He must call on his scientific knowledge and unorthodox ideas to save everything on Earth from extinction. But an unexpected friendship means he may not have to do it alone. 95% from critics, 96% from audiences. I am shocked that this is as highly rated as it is. Like, it's obviously, you know, very much in the line of like The Martian, right?
Is it by the same
Quippy
author?
lead.
Yeah.
I think now that I'm thinking of it, you might be correct there. Let me double check that. But that's the kind of thing that, yeah, Andy Weir, it's the same author. So that what do you know? Makes sense.
Yeah.
But I really expected this one after I heard about, you know, what it was about and who all was involved with it and where it was coming from. I didn't expect it to be bad by any means, but I didn't expect it to be 95, 96 good.
I think there's something about this movie that kind of has like that magic point where sci-fi can become very mass appealing.
Yeah, it has the thing where, and this was the thing in The Martian too, where The Martian is a very entertaining movie. That's the way to put it. It is an entertaining movie. You have Matt Damon, who is deeply charismatic and very well liked, working with a script that lets him be extremely charismatic and likable, right?
Yeah.
And you have it mixed with a writing style that talks about science in a way that is not necessarily accurate, but is deeply approachable. So you're able to have people either read these books or watch these movies and see an actor that they like who is doing likable things, explaining complicated things in a way that's not necessarily correct, but makes the people watching it feel like they're learning something.
That's what I was thinking. It's a movie that makes you feel like by enjoying it, you are not... I don't want to come off wrong because it's going to make me sound like I'm calling people dumb, but it makes them appreciate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a bad thing for that, right? It's very easy for, you know, people in the sciences to look at something like that and being like, oh no, you wouldn't do this, you wouldn't do that, you wouldn't be quipping or, you know, making explosives or any of this kind of stuff because it would be just so dangerous. The risks would be so high. You'd figure out something else to do this, and you wouldn't be acting like this because it just doesn't make sense. But these are the kinds of things that inspire the next generation of scientists, you know? People who are in their preteens or their teens see this and go, oh yeah, I actually do like sciences. This appeals to me and I'd like to know more about this. And then they go and they learn more about it and they learn the actual things that are being talked about here and they build careers out of it. And there is value in that, in being the bridge between, you know, the relative layperson and quite complicated science concepts.
I was actually about to say...
Why Neil deGrasse Tyson is so popular, right?
Tragically.
Yeah. But he serves a role, and he serves it well.
I was going to say that's probably also why Bill Nye is also very popular as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to leave you... I'm going to say something really fucked up. Ready? Never really cared for Bill Nye.
I'm kind of in the same boat. It's like...
Thank God.
I appreciate what he does,
Yeah.
but It's not being made for me.
He has a noble goal, right? But like, I felt watching Bill Nye videos as a kid that he was kind of talking down.
And like, well, and he is, right?
Yeah.
That is how that works. Is it has to be from the position of the scientist in the room talking to the non-scientist people.
Yeah. I think it's interesting for you. Like, I always really appreciate your opinion on this since you are an actual scientist. Like, about how you feel about like sciences in the media and how they are represented.
Yeah. Yeah, I try to square it with like when I see things like the maybe that's not a good example, but it's frustrating, but I have to force myself to take a step back and look at the bigger picture of what it's actually trying to accomplish, right? Bill Nye is not pretending to be a substitute for a genuine lesson on gravity or doing high-level algebra, right? It's just, that's not what he's trying to do. That's not what he's trying to pretend to do. He's just trying to trick people almost into getting their foot in the door.
I think
same thing that I respect Hank Green and I think John Green is his brother's name, where they have also very much taken on a similar mantle of like going like another step into that, like, okay, we're doing real science way, but they still position themselves as a bridge where they're balancing the entertainment of something with the actual science that is being taught as they remain entertaining.
Fair. I think, what's the word I'm looking for? I think of it more as they're fishing for attention into these concepts to like fish out like a response that is positive for, especially for like people who are, you know, lay people. Yeah. Fishing for that desire to learn.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. With that, we'd like to talk about some stuff that we've seen. We've actually seen, we watched not even an movie, but more than one movie.
I don't even remember this.
I want to start out because I've been trying to like play catch up for a long time here. I have like my bookshelf of DVDs, and I have so many of them that I got for like $5 somewhere or whatever, and I've never actually watched them. I've been trying to catch up to that. I had two that I finally got around to this week. One is the Tom Clancy, or based on the Tom Clancy novel, The Sum of All Fears, with Ben Affleck as the Jack Ryan character, which I always found so funny because of how it's tale old as time, right? In film, Jack Ryan was first portrayed by Harrison Ford, and everyone who's tried to play Jack Ryan after him has tried to live up to that, and you're not going to beat Harrison Ford in the 70s and the 80s. You can try, it's not going to happen.
Never.
Dude was just too good. He's got superpowers. So seeing someone else, and in this case especially having it be Ben Affleck, is kind of funny as well because it's Ben Affleck, right? But I was surprised. I was what's the way to put this? I am always continually amused, I guess would be the way to put it, with the Tom Clancy novels in general, because of how this is a weird thing to say about a movie that's predicting neo-Nazis coming into positions of power where they're able to deploy a nuclear bomb in fucking Baltimore and set it off to try and spark World War III between the United States and Russia. How optimistic these movies are. Where, you have clear and present danger ends with Harrison Ford sitting in on a fucking Senate panel being questioned about what happened, with the clear assumption being that, they're telling the truth now, so there's going to be consequences for these people who did illegal things. And then we get to sit here in, the current year and be just like, people don't get consequences when they break the law anymore. They get promotions.
They do? fuck?
Well, if you're a politician, if you're in the government.
I wish you would have told me that 5 minutes ago.
Because that's what a lot of this is based on, is like intergovernment espionage, right?
Yeah.
You know, you have the CIA doing illegal activity in Central America, and other people in the CIA catch on to this and are trying to expose it to show it to the world. In this case, you have these Nazis who are trying to frame the Russians, and there's a really interesting dynamic of the CIA analyst being just like, I know who this Russian president guy is. He wouldn't put a nuke on us. Something else is going on here. I got to try to figure it out and prove it. And there's a really good tension there. It's not as entertaining as some of the other ones because a lot of the action gets undercut when they blow up a fucking nuke. There's not a lot of hand-to-hand combat when you're fighting a nuclear warhead, but it had a lot going on, a lot more going on than I expected. So credit to it for that. Also has Morgan Freeman, so it's always a good time.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman's like one of those things that like. He's like butter. He just makes everything a little bit better and more full flavor.
It's very funny seeing some of the reviews on this about the people who very much don't like it. So.
What do you mean?
There is also an element where this released the year after 9/11. So. Yeah. But you saw a movie as well.
I did see a movie.
Yeah.
My lovely fiance and I, we sat down and we watched Weapons for probably one of the weirdest reasons you're ever going to hear.
Mm-hmm.
We really wanted to know what the fuck Conan O'Brien was like cosplaying as in the Oscars.
Okay.
So we did. And I will say this. When you see Conan O'Brien playing like the main villain in this movie, running around, having like the time of his life, being chased by children, it kind of makes this movie really unintentionally funny. Because like they show the villain in these very what's the word I'm looking for? Momentary blinking miss it moments.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole time we were watching it, I would see the villain show up in the background and just yell, Conan, get out of here. This isn't your movie. Go away, Conan. So that kind of kills a lot of the tension, right? It's a horror movie, after all. So when you're left with that element stripped out of it, this is a really well-written idea. Execution, not as good as I thought it would be.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a good movie. I thought it was worth it. You kind of like get a really good setup and a really good payoff, but like the whole middle is just boring. Like not boring, it's just unconsequential.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like it definitely felt like they wrote the beginning and the ending, and then they needed to find some way to get from point A to point B. And they just didn't think there was any real story involved with that. It's a mystery book movie as well, so like I love my fucking mysteries. However, they didn't really do much to like pay off things in the middle that would be set up later. They set up things. They didn't set up things in the middle that would pay off later. You know, like how Knives Out does it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
where it evolves the whole time.
Yeah, there's like it's like a Rashomon almost, where it's like we're going from point A to point B. Here's a whole bunch of characters' perspectives on how we get to the ending, and so there's like the teacher of the children that go missing, and she's like, "Oh, I'm being persecuted by the whole town. Life sucks." I'm like, "Yeah, that probably does suck. Holy fuck." And then there's like Fox News dad, played by Josh Brolin, which is kind of funny considering who he played in fucking Knives Out. Then there's like I'm bad cop, and then I'm gonna fucking, you know, beat up a druggie who happens to know where the kids are because he just broke into a house and found where the kids were. And then here's the druggie's perspective. Then here's the principal's perspective, and it all leads up to like a logical ending. It's just I don't give a fuck about anybody except for the teacher, because like she's in the general shitty position. And because it doesn't set up those real emotional connections or emotional content among the characters, it suffers a lot in the middle. I kind of hated a majority of them. So when you get to like the horror ending and you know the big twist is revealed and people are dropping like flies, I was just happy, you know? Just fuck half these people.
I do think it's an interesting way of putting it where you did, where it's like they wrote the beginning and the end and then had to figure out how to get there, because I can completely imagine, with what I know about the plot of this movie and how particular it is, how that very much could be the way that it went about.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. Because it's a very, you know, I think it's fair to say, unique conceit to start it off. And I can very much see someone starting with that. And then, obviously, when you start with that, you know where you're taking it in the end. So you have, maybe it's not written, but you know where it's going to end up. And it is that middle part of figuring out how you get from A to B. So I can very much see that.
I will say this, right? The whole introduction to this movie is fucking perfect. It is brilliant. It pisses me off a little bit. But as the movie evolves, it really feels like a different writer had to fill it out. One of my favorite things about this movie is the whole mystery of why did the children disappear? Or like, how do you get like such an organized like incident to happen like this? And like it is one of those things that kind of follows you for a while, and like you when you are left with characters who are not gripping, that's where my mind sat a majority of the time. And what eventually, when you get your reveals and you get your payoffs, I didn't feel a catharsis as much as I was just like, okay, that makes sense. Now what? Why am I even here? I felt like I could have walked out after they revealed everything and I would have been satisfied. And I think that's not fair to the movie, but that's just how my mind went as a member of the audience, you know?
No, I get that.
Yeah. Also, slightly pissed me off because there was a lot of fucking plot points in this that matched the novel I'm writing, and I was pissed.
They stole your ideas 2 years ago.
No, that's the thing. I started writing this book 2 years ago. So, like, this is genuine parallel thought. Fucking hell. But I'm glad I saw it.
Or your book gets finished and published and is massively successful, and Zach Kreger is a time traveler who took that idea and went back in time specifically to rip it off from you.
If that's the case, I'm going to be pissed.
But on the other hand, what an honor.
What an honor. I got fucking, like, you know, what's her name? Who's the actress that got the Oscar from this?
Amy Madigan.
I got Amy Madigan a fucking Oscar. That's an honor.
Actually, did she win, or did she was just nominated? I know she was nominated.
I swear she won.
Look this up.
So I think Sam and I were talking about that.
Accolades. Academy Award for Best Supporting Actors. There you go.
Good. She deserved it.
Yep.
I thought her role. Do you know who she plays? Like, I don't want to spoil it.
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say to not spoil it, because I will probably see this at some point.
Yeah, I think she did a really awesome job in her role. She was very uncanny in like how she portrayed it, and very alien, and I respected that a lot. I respect it. That's hard. I'm trying to think of other things I want to highlight. Other than the fact I'm just genuinely, the more I think about like the parallels between like Eero and weapons, I get pissed. So now I'm going to be stuck in this mode for a little bit. but I definitely recommend it as like a film everybody should watch.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, last thing I wanted to mention, I also saw 1969's On Her Majesty's Secret Service. I think it's fair to say one of the least known Bond movies, just because it wasn't made under the same framework that all the rest of them were, and it came out at a weird time. It's not a particularly good movie.
Nope.
But it is a fascinating look at what a James Bond movie could look like in almost an alternate universe.
Okay.
Where you have all of these same elements and plot points that are, the tropes of the Bond series, but they're done in a way that's just kind of off. Not wrong, but different in a way that's noticeable.
Okay.
Much more subdued. Like, okay, for an example, a key plot point of this movie is that Bond just goes and gets married because he loves this person.
That's not what Bond does, though.
It's not what Bond does, but he does it here.
But Bond doesn't get married. Bond fucking sexually harasses people.
Yeah, you'd think. But no, only one person in the whole movie.
Was it his wife?
Eventually.
That caught me off guard. Fuck you.
You're welcome.
That's good.
Yeah, interesting movie for sure. It's the kind of thing that is definitely best watched like after you've watched all of the, at least like the big other Bond movies, and you get an idea for what the expectation of a Bond movie carries, right? Because it does have very clear expectations when you go into it, where he's gonna be a bit of a bastard. He's gonna kill some guys. He's gonna, sexually harass some women, and maybe they'll be receptive, maybe they won't be, but he's not gonna really back down either way. So you get these ideas of like, what is a Bond movie? And then this comes up, and it breaks a lot of those rules in ways that are interesting and kind of work. So
interesting. Okay.
Yeah. But with that, anything else? I believe that's all I got.
I think that's all I got as well. To all those at home, I wish you all a very merry. I have nothing else to wish you well on. I'm Neith Miss Orion, and I'm Schmo.
And I'm Cairo. And I'm also a Schmo.
And this has been the Two Schmo Show. Wahoo.